Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. You'll get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And when I'm not asking Bruce, hey, how big was Batista's? Well, you know. One of the things I like to do is help people save money. And if you're watching this video right now and you're in a 30-year loan, man, you're overpaying your single biggest bill and you may not even realize it. I want you to do a little experiment for me. Take your calculator out, multiply your monthly house payment by 360 payments. That's how many payments there are in a 30-year loan. That big scary number, that's your total of payments. You're looking at that number? You know you can do better. Keep more of your own money right now and go to savewithconrad.com. Or maybe you've got credit card debt. Man, it's not a matter of if I can save you money with that. Your average interest rate on a credit card is more than 20%. And by the way, all the interest you pay on those credit cards, it's not tax deductible. Whereas the mortgage interest, well, that is tax deductible. So if you owe this debt, it's up to you how to pay it back. Doesn't it make sense to get the cheapest rate possible and the greatest tax deduction possible? Find out how much money you can save right now for free at savewithconrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. Even scores in the 500s can be approved, and it's no cost out of pocket. But maybe best of all, we're licensed in more than 40 states. We can help more families than ever before. But how much can we save you? Find out right now for free with a quick quote from savewithconrad.com.
Hello and welcome to Grilling JR. This is Paul Bromwell, and I'm joined by the voice of wrestling, WWE Hall of Famer, Jim Ross. JR, how are you this week?
I'm good. I'm good, Paul. Getting better every week. Still healing, but healing is a key word. So everything's good.
Man, that's good.
Staying positive and keeping my commitments and loving the wrestling business. So I got nothing to complain about, my friend.
That's good, man. We were just catching up a little bit before we jumped on, and you seem to be in great spirits. And we're going to catch up a little bit more as we get this show going. But I want to jump right into it because we're doing a watch along today. A couple weeks ago, you and I went back and watched Raw from Toronto and Skydome.
Right.
This is the follow-up show to that. This is Thursday, Raw Thursday. It's February 13th, 1997. It's the infamous Raw where Shawn Michaels loses his smile. So, JR, if you're ready.
Well, see, now I can tell by your expression. See, you're already wise-assing it up because you think it's a joke.
No.
You think it's a joke. Michaels lost his smile, all of my point is, and what's your reaction is certainly fine. But in that era, most people would not be thinking of the first impulse was not maybe what you were thinking.
True.
That it's a work. He's trying to get something. He's manipulating the old man because he knows Vince loves him. Vince sees himself as a young Vince and Shawn, all those things. So your expression as you might not beat me playing poker, but I think you might. So that's just a point. I wasn't arguing with you. I'm never going to argue with you about your point of view. I may not agree with it.
Sure.
I'm not going to curse you out because you have an opinion other than mine. And I think most of our fans should have similar feels.
Right.
You know,
I think what's got me chuckling a little bit here, JR, is, and you're going to see this, is when we get to some of the fan questions. Because we're going to have some fun.
It's today's fans questions on an event that happened how many years ago?
Yeah, this is 97. So my goodness, long time ago, 25 years.
Different perspective on the business, different ways of communicating. Information flow was much different then and than it is now. So it was an interesting time. And so I'm sure the questions that we received, and I have not seen one of them, will indicate what we're talking about here. Will illustrate my point if it's worth illustrating.
You got it, JR. So let's jump into it, and then you and I will. We're going to listen to a little bit of it too, because we get to hear Shawn's promo and also hear Vince try to explain what we're about to see here this evening, and so that's going to be fun to hear. So for those of you that want to fire up the Peacock machine and follow along as we watch the show, it is Raw Season 5, Episode 6. Again, we're going to watch the whole show together. So I'll give you just a minute to do that. This show takes place in Lowell, Massachusetts.
Right.
And
very small venue, very
yeah.
small venue that WWF used to utilize way back in the day. But it's a very small venue. And the reason we ran that venue occasionally was because it fit in the schedule geographically. It was easy to get to bigger markets through Lowell than not. And they had a nice little arena. The arena had a good relationship with the company. So it checked a lot of boxes. Was it big enough? Probably not. But if everybody's got to find something to bitch about, that's the one I would go to. It was too small. Hey, folks, it's time to take your podcast game to the next level. And you certainly want to get your almighty push. My God, we have to have a push, right? We'll get that over to AdFreeShows.com. Now, I'm telling you, if you're a fan of Grilling JR, AdFreeShows.com has the entire episode library, and it's got no ads, 0 ads, zilch, none. Ad-free and on video starting at just $9. Did you hear what I said? $9. You spend more than that at Starbucks, for God's sakes. 2 mornings. If that's not all, folks, we got tons of bonus content, including my after-hours roundtable, where drinking was involved with Eric and Tony. You simply will not find a better value in all of wrestling. Hey, look, don't make me go red ass, because by God, you know I will. Hurry over to AdFreeShows.com right now and sign up. And I thank you.
All right. Well, here we are again, season 5, episode 6. Hopefully already. We're going to jump in 3, 2, 1. JR, I'm going to load it for us and play. You can see it load up here for you.
The World Wrestling Federation.
Yeah.
For over 50 years.
You're a genius. You're a technical genius.
I'm trying. I'm going to mute this little part, but here comes Vince.
Declared vacant. Thus, this Sunday's Final Four winner will become the new World Wrestling Federation champion. Tonight, live, Shawn Michaels will forfeit the World Wrestling Federation Championship. Thursday, Raw Thursday.
And here we go right into the Thursday, Raw Thursday, JR. They're going to get through. If you didn't know it, it's Thursday, Raw Thursday, by the way. They're going to cut right into the table, the announce table, and it's going to be you and Vince and team. And so I want to turn the volume up a little bit again, because Vince is going to talk a little bit more about what we're going to see here. And then I have some questions for you as we head into this. So here we go.
Shawn Michaels forfeiting the World Wrestling Federation Championship. He was the first scheduled to face Psycho Sid for the WWF title. Psycho Sid will be here, but Sid will be squaring off against Stone Cold Steve Austin here tonight on Thursday, Raw Thursday.
Plus, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see Bret the Hitman Hart attempt to settle a score with a man they call Vader. But let me tell you, Vader is ready to go.
Yeah, well, we're going to see if The Undertaker can bury an entire nation. He'll have that opportunity.
So there we go. They're promoting the rest of the card. But Jim, can you take us back? What do you recall? What do you remember prior to the start of this show, and what was going on backstage with this whole storyline, and what was going on with Shawn?
Well, it was unprecedented, so we didn't have somewhere to go back to reference it to any degree, nothing to this level. And I think probably just there was a lot of confusion, a lot of wonderment, what's going on, unanswered questions. And when wrestlers can't get the straight answer, or the straight answer is not ready to be presented to them, they get very unsettled. And so I think that's what we got here and this on that day. It was just a day of being unsettled and all that stuff, and just nobody knew exactly what the hell we were doing. And there are a lot of stories floating around, and, you know, how is this going to come off? And some guys were concerned that Shawn was going to have a live mic, and he might say some things that are off script. So it was an interesting day of, you know, just trying to get through to that day and come out on the other side. This show was basically used to promote that the pay-per-view coming up.
Yeah, the pay-per-view is just a few days away. This show's on Thursday. In Your House would be on Sunday. And
Right.
So got to fit this in, make sure we build this. The week leading up to the show has a lot of highs and lows at this point. The WWF would run at Penn Station for a Shotgun Saturday Night show, which is most remembered for The Undertaker pile driving Triple H on the escalator. Hunter goes all the way down where he's helped away by the referees. And then on February 9th, Shawn Michaels would be in the main event teaming with Stone Cold, losing to Bret Hart and Sid at the Continental Airlines Arena in East Rutherford when Bret gets the pin on Shawn. And Dave Meltzer chimed in around this time period. I want to share this with you, JR, get your thoughts. He says, perhaps the strangest week in World Wrestling Federation history ended up with 3 WWF title changes, the tease of the end of Shawn Michaels' career, a strange twist in the working relationship with ECW, and the beginning of the live Raw. Lots going on here. A television special, Thursday Raw Thursday, a pay-per-view event, a surprise Intercontinental title switch, which we're about to witness here. Numerous long-term plans have been switched around. It's just a lot going on here, Jim.
Yeah, well, you know, when you get to transition period, and our goal was always to get younger on top. And these two guys right here are a prime example of that. Both guys at this point in time were in their 20s. And part of our platform for building to what would eventually be a publicly traded company was going to come on the backs of guys like these two.
To your point, it's this is the first match here is for the Intercontinental title. And you said it, this would become a mainstay in the WWF main event scene for a long time to come after this. I mean, Triple H and The Rock. I got to ask you real quick. Did you see the opener from The Rock at the Super Bowl this past Sunday?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was awesome. What an opportunity. And not only did he pull it off flawlessly with a live mic, and I'd be very surprised if he allowed himself to go out there and use the teleprompter, which may sound, I'm being facetious, but not really, because you don't know what the networks want. But he did a hell of a job. I was so proud of him, and it was great for the wrestling business. All those title belts were great for the wrestling business. And people say, how do you say that, JR, the wrestling business? Well, anytime any event or any situation can create heightened awareness to your product, everybody wins. Everybody gets a little something. When the WrestleMania thing was created, the Mid-South business went up. So it just creates more awareness of the genre in essence.
No, I couldn't agree more. When you see wrestling, whatever company it is, brought to the mainstream, it helps it helps the entire business, brings relevancy and attention. So I thought
Rock was excellent. I also thought his choice of wardrobe was pretty fantastic, because I would not have guessed those colors. But you know, you can't go blue and you can't go orange in the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's right.
So he's got to wear something that is timely and colorful and fashionable, and he's always going to be that way.
And doesn't show favoritism.
No, he's smart. He's a smart marketer. He gave the audience no reason to alienate him because of the colors he was wearing.
And the way he held that mic had my wife talking about his guns. So it hit on everything that you'd want to hit for The Rock from a marketing perspective. It was good to see him out here. And man, look at him, so athletic. Did you know at this point, hey, and I know you did, you signed him, Blue Chipper. He was ready for the IC title, right? He's ready to go.
Oh, he was probably ready for anything we wanted to hand him.
Yeah.
That's the kind of, he was a student of the game. You know, when you have a grandpa in the wrestling business and a grandmother in the wrestling business, and your father, a very successful pro wrestler, you learn things around the supper table. So while everybody's having ice cream and chocolate syrup, which that's one of my favorite desserts, because that was what my grandma used to give me when I was a little fat kid, because that's what we had.
Yeah.
And but he's a natural. He understood things without having them to be explained to him to the 9th letter of the law. He just got it.
By the way, Hunter is scheduled to face Ahmed Johnson at Final Four, but with Shawn's injury, the whole card ended up being reshuffled. And so that's why we're getting this matchup here for the Intercontinental title. By the way, one of the things our researcher pointed out, and I wanted to ask you about, Hunter and Shawn, obviously notorious around this time and even into the next few years for being a little political,
Right.
Backstage. Were there any issues at this point, do you think, with Triple H or Hunter at this point putting Rocky over?
Not that I'm aware of. If he did, he kept it to himself, but openly and, in a oratorial, locker room bullshit, I didn't hear of any of that, but it could have happened, but in a very small, tight group. Rocky was disrespected. Look at him.
Yeah.
Here's a guy you can work with going forward. If you're a Hunter and you're a heel, which he is, and it was going to be for a good while, then what difference does it make to you other than you're building a future opponent that you can draw money and put it in your bank? So all this was, to me, was an exercise in trying to get both guys over, although both can't win. But as it's been said so many times in my career, it's not about who goes over, but who gets over. As a honky tonk man makes his way down to the ring,
There he is.
I guess his tie-in here, talking about honky, was the Intercontinental title.
That's right.
He's closely married to that championship.
He's going to jump in here and make it a 4-man booth, which I know that's always exciting. I'm sure 4-man booths.
Yeah. Well, they're challenging.
Yeah.
I just sometimes feel that we can't do our best job of describing and telling the story with 4 people sharing the microphone. It's very hard to do. So you lay out and you're always ready. And now here we call the false finish, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So you got to get a pattern and a rhythm. And it's hard enough to get a rhythm with 3. But Vince and Jerry and I did a nice job with that. Well, then you had Honky. It was never an issue that Honky couldn't talk. Honky Tonk Man could talk as good as anybody. You get that when he came out of Memphis after a few years, because they're doing promos for these towns every week, and you got to tell fresh stories to sell more tickets.
JR, earlier, I was watching this card earlier and listening to the commentary. And one of the things they quickly noted Vince did was, and Triple H or, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, his butler isn't around. Who knows if he'll pop up? But you and I talked about this when we covered Skydome. So it's Curtis Hughes was playing this butler role. He's not at ringside.
Yeah.
And it was reported that he was having some health issues, which we discussed. But Meltzer went on here. He said he had some very serious health problems. We talked about the high blood pressure, but it resulted, and he went a little deeper. It resulted in him losing about 40 pounds. He wound up last week hospitalized and was in intensive care in a life-threatening situation for a short period with heart problems, which led to kidneys malfunctioning, which may have all stemmed from complications from diabetes. JR, this is some heavy stuff. Is it safe to assume that it was the health issues that eventually forced Hughes from moving on from the company?
Yeah, and there were serious health issues. It wasn't like he had a bad ACL.
Right.
Or he had to get arthroscopic surgery on his shoulder. These are things that in a snap of a finger could kill him. He had to monitor his vital signs and all those things. And I'm under the impression Curtis was, a black kid from somewhere in Kansas City, maybe. But he probably didn't get the greatest medical care as a kid growing up, like a lot of people did, including myself, growing up as a country boy. We didn't even have a dentist in our town.
Right.
We didn't have a full-time doctor in our town until I was in like junior high.
Yeah, no, times were different for sure.
Oh yeah, big time. But Curtis had some health issues, and it's really kind of too bad. He had a good aptitude for the business. Curtis did. Big athletic son of a gun. He was a defensive tackle at a D1 college at Kansas State. So he's but his health got him. But Curtis is has a school, I think, based in Atlanta. He's trained a lot of guys that have made it to TVs. Rock's got that great comeback, the body English, and you see it's natural. His whole body's gyrating and so forth. And handed to Triple H, feeding the comeback. That's what Triple H just did. He fed the comeback of the baby face. And he was always up ready to take another bump like he is right now. Well, look at this.
High cross body, the reverse by Triple H. 1, 2, kicks out.
Yeah, people thought that was going to be the finish. It would have been logical.
Let's listen to a little honky tonk, man. I'm curious as to what he's got going on here with this match. Here we go.
Off the rope. Did you see that?
I loved it.
That was a very yes. Here we go. Bye-bye. That should do it. Hunter Hearst Helmsley with the victory over this Rush.
Rocky's not going to quit. He's not going to quit. He's got that great fighting spirit. That's a part of his heritage.
Now, the reason he won't quit is because he's a little bit short on gray matter. He's a few frames short of a
You got two first cousins announcing this match.
Exactly. You know, Lawler and Honky Tonk.
First cousins. Their mothers or sisters.
Will face Hunter Hearst Helmsley for the championship, assuming, of course, Mr. Helmsley is victorious here tonight, or at least hangs on to the title. It'll be Ahmed against Helmsley this Sunday.
Hunter had good hair.
Here we go.
This is a move you never see in the WWE anymore. A pile driver.
I wasn't really big on that spot.
Yeah.
I understand trying to make Rock strong. I get that. And nobody wanted that any more than I. But the kicking out of the pile driver.
Yeah, weakens that move. I mean, weakens the appeal. That move should be the closer. Paul Orndorff, that was the closer when he would put that on.
And about 100 more guys.
Yeah. That was who I always associated as a kid in my heyday in the 80s. Man, it was the Paul Orndorff pile driver, man.
Lawler was good at it. Lawler used the pile driver down in Memphis a lot too. He was very good at it.
Here we go. Triple H smacking him around a little bit. Now, I was going to mention here too, by the way, at the Final Four, Chyna would make her debut. Were you well aware that she was lined up to join the Federation at this point and become part of Triple H's group?
Well, considering I did a contract, I was fairly informed.
So there you go.
Yeah. That's another case of there you are, Paul.
There you go. He cannot keep the Rock shoulders down. Rock continues to kick out. If you're not watching along, this is a good match. Talk about a strong opener to Raw. Raw Thursday, should I say. Lining him up for the pedigree. You think Vince had a gleam in his eye at this point that he knew he had money in this matchup down for many years to come after watching this one.
Yeah. And so did the agents. Guys like Pat Patterson, who had Vince's ear. And luckily for many of us that happened, because Pat was a wealth of information and creativity. But Pat laid this match out.
It seems like everything he touched turned to gold, JR, as we go through these events.
Well, Pat had a way of identifying with the talents and bringing their characters out of them and putting them in a good spot in front of the camera. There's an inside cradle.
And that's it. He wins. He wins the title. Let's go to the announcers here.
That was a Pat Patterson quick one.
Guess who's going to run down to interview him? There he is, P.S. Hayes.
His hair's growing back.
Rocky, congratulations! You are the new Intercontinental Champion. How does it feel?
I can't believe it. I can't believe this happened. One of the best Intercontinental champions. But I guarantee you and all the people, I'm going to give the best that I can give. Always.
Rocky, I gotta admit, I thought you were out of that match. Your resiliency was amazing. Your parents have to be proud. Congratulations, Rocky.
Dad, my grandfather, my whole family, thank you. And I'll make you and all my fans proud.
All right, Vince, back to you. That's one of the things I love about this sport.
Make them all proud. My goodness, is that an understatement for what that man's accomplished in his life?
Yeah, no kidding. Well, you know, Michael Hayes had to prompt him on that interview. Michael brought him back around to the family.
Yeah.
You notice that.
Dave Meltzer, go ahead.
Notice that live TV makes strange accomplices.
Absolutely. Dave Meltzer said regarding the title change, Rocky Maivia, the former Dwayne Johnson, with less than 1 year in the pros, was surprisingly given the IC title on February the 13th from Hunter Hearst Helmsley. There had been some question that Maivia's push was going to wind up in a Van Hammer / Eric Watts like situation. That fans
There's a big difference there. You're right about that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no, you're good. Go ahead.
Are you saying that? So whomever's putting Meltzer saying that?
Yes.
Is essentially saying that because they're all in the same skill set, they all have the same level of
What were you saying?
aptitude. Yeah. Right. Sonny comes to the ring, does her thing.
That's right.
So you know, I think he was he ready? He was ready. He was more than a lot of guys I've been around in my career ready. You know, when you got a strong male audience, it lets you promote young, attractive women like Sonny.
They are rabid for her. Let me see if we can go a little bit to this audio, and I'll finish up the thought on The Rock that Meltzer made here. Hold on.
She found it.
I don't know what the 7 wonders of the world are, McMahon, but Sonny's got 2 of them.
Following tag team contest
Lord.
is scheduled for one fall.
Nice boob joke.
Yeah.
Introducing first.
So essentially, she's just
Ring announcer.
so she's bringing out Mosh and Thrasher. But let's get back to the Rock's piece here. So he mentioned Van Hammer, Eric Watts. You were talking about that. But Meltzer went on.
But I just want to say that it sounds as if, and maybe it was inadvertent, and maybe it wasn't this way, that he was comparing all those 3 guys, and those 3 guys had very little in common.
I think his point, and he goes on to say, fans wouldn't buy being a green wrestler being shoved down their throats and that they would push it back. But he goes on to say, if there was any doubt during the match, even before the title had changed, there were chants of Rocky sucks happening.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It says the fans do not, they chanted Rocky sucks, whatever. But I don't think, to your point, that's necessarily a fair assessment.
No,
Seeing
all
what we
it
saw
meant
with
was
Rock.
that he was an easy character to gravitate to, and once you arrived at where you're gravitating, then you have the chance to either like where you landed or not. So it was, in other words, people wanted to stay tuned to Rocky. They wanted to know more about him, and maybe they'd already decided he's too pretty, he's too young, blah blah blah. This would never happen to me, poor me. And so there you go. So now the other 2 teams are in the ring. See, when this match is booked, because we knew that this is going to be, or should be, there's no excuse for this match with Bob Holly and Aldo Montoya not to be good with the headbangers. No reason. So you put pressure on those guys. You tell them that.
Yeah, the former who would go on to be just incredible, Aldo Montoya. You talk about it though. Look at the talent in the ring. All 4 of those guys could go.
You're good workers.
Solid workers for sure.
Sonny was a good worker.
Oh,
Must be cold that night.
it was cold in Lowell, Massachusetts, without a doubt.
Chilly.
It was chilly. But I want to close the loop on the Rock Maivia, the Rocky Maivia and Triple H match. Because Meltzer had a little bit more. He said Helmsley carried the match, which, since Maivia didn't do much offense, was better than their pay-per-view match and the best match of the TV show. So, JR, we can shut the whole thing down. That was the best match of the TV show.
And it was. And Hunter carried, he led the match, which is a different, people get confused on somebody carrying the match and anything else. The heel 9 times out of 10 leads the match. If the table is pretty even. Now, if you got a rookie heel who's just getting going, then you might not have that scenario. But the bottom line is that the heels in the old days when I first broke in, all the heels led the match.
Meltzer gave it a 2.5 stars for that match, and we move on. It is Aldo Montoya and Bob Holly here, and they're putting on a match with the Headbangers. As this gets started, I want to mention this one to you, Jim. Meltzer brings this up in his report. He said the biggest problem for WWF in going 2 hours once again appears to be a lack of talent depth. There are enough average wrestlers on the roster to fill 2 hours of average wrestling programming, but the number of top-notch performers in that dressing room is slim, and it isn't like there are a multitude of guys working in other promotions or even in other countries anymore that could be brought in and add depth to the roster. Do you think that's a fair assessment at this point?
Yeah, but let's think of the other alternative. So what do you do if there's nobody out there? You create your own. You know, we didn't get Rock from WCW or anything. It was a matter of scouting, signing good athletic individuals with an aptitude for pro wrestling, and training them. So that's your alternative. It's not the end of the world, but it's better to sell clicks and so forth. I'm so trained to stop talking and call the
for the cover. Yep, I got you. I got to give a shout out to my buddy who's in the ring. There's the referee, Mr. Mike Chioda. I was just talking with a little bit earlier today. Love Mike.
Mike did a great job for a long time. And the boys like Mike.
You can find him on AdFreeShows, cheap plug, with his own mailbag show every other week.
He's too damn lazy to work every week. That's sad. Jesus Christ. What do you?
He would if he could. I mean, he's just waiting on the call from Connie. He'll jump
Connie's
in
at the
week.
cabin.
Connie's. I knew that was coming.
I said, Conrad, when do you want to record this week? I'm at the cabin. That's it. I don't think there's even a goddamn period on it.
At least you got a vowel in cabin, the 2 vowels. I mean, so.
Yeah,
oh, that's hilarious, man. He's getting a little R&R though. That guy, he goes hard, man.
Well,
I tell you, he does.
I encourage anytime he's telling me he's going to take a break or he's going to go to the beach or the cabin or whatever. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always worried about Conrad's health.
That's exactly right.
And I love him, and he's been a great friend. We made a lot of money together, which I'm blessed, but he's become a great friend. And so I worry about my friends and their, you know, so him taking a break is fully endorsed by me.
You'd rather have Conrad as a listener. You'd rather have Conrad for several years, really good Conrad, than Conrad really good for a short amount of time. And then he just burns out because he's just gone so hard so fast. So I think this is definitely the best. Sorry, you get a little bit more Paul in your life, but it's worth it to you in the long term. So this is what you get. So I think it's good too.
Nice. This is a little modern. This is kind of a new thing.
Yeah.
Doing a spot off the top in a tag team match. Bob Holly has got the honors of letting them set the heat on him. The mechanics of the match. The heels are leading the match. So
I do want to get back a little bit too. We touched on Aldo Montoya, and why do you think that it took Paul Heyman and his creative vision to make something out of Just Incredible finally? Because really, that's, as a wrestling fan, that's where I became most familiar with him, was Just Incredible. And then it was like, oh, he was Aldo Montoya. Oh, okay. But man, I got to know him in ECW.
He may have been in a better spot with his drug abuse. He had, you know, we know he had drug and alcohol issues, and they were serious. A great kid, lifelong fan, but the drugs are stronger than those pile drivers we talked about earlier for him, unfortunately.
And then you have Bob Holly. Were you surprised Bob Holly was kept around as long as he was? And do you think Bob was happy at this point?
Bob was never late. Bob was as tough as anybody in the locker room. That's a great tag team move right there. That's kind of one out of today's playbook. That's a little Young Bucks oriented. So, and in the old days, the promoters would probably not let let a heel team win with a babyface move. Good old Mark Yaton.
And Headbangers win. They defeat Aldo Montoya and Bob Holly 5 minutes, 44 seconds when Thrasher pins Montoya with a leg drop off the top rope. Meltzer gave it a 1.25 stars. And buddy, we are about to get into the losing of the smile as soon as we come back. And we're going to play this audio for all of you to hear this epic event. Here we go. Vince is in the middle of the ring because, of course, Vince is in the middle of the ring.
Gorilla Monsanto's got a great hand.
Would you please welcome?
I love that man. Still do. I'm so happy he's on this show.
The most flamboyant, the most charismatic WWF champion, perhaps of all time.
Disclaimer.
Here, ladies and gentlemen, to surrender the World Wrestling Federation Championship.
I think Vince got a haircut that week. Looks good.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and the only Shawn Michaels!
I know I'm sexy. I've got the look.
He was a babyface then, folks. You got to remember that.
Now he had just been beaten up, right? He had been beaten up a little bit in Syracuse, I believe.
Oh, was that about that time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he had a altercation there with some gentlemen.
Here, I want to listen to you. I like listening to you talk.
Whether you love him or you hate him, if you're a wrestling fan, you have to respect him. I'll tell you this, Jim Ross, I don't care for him at all, professionally, but I gotta admit, this is a stand-up thing to do. As soon as he gets the words from the doctor, I think I would have hung on to the belt as long as I could. Gotta be gut-wrenching and heartbreaking. I'm not your boy toy.
This comes obviously as a shock. It's a shock to WWF fans all over the world. Maybe it really shouldn't be, considering what you give. Obviously, Shawn Michaels, what you bring to the World Wrestling Federation has taken its toll on you, specifically your knee. And as you are facing a knee operation, I wonder if you would share with millions of your fans all over the world what's going through your head.
Well, it seems like we've done this before, and this time, unfortunately for me, it's much more serious than it was last time. I've never had a doctor look me in the face and say that I may never be able to wrestle again. And I was told that the other day. Of course, you know, it's not something that I believe, but the fact is it's something that I have to deal with. Time has taken its toll on my body, and
I know you're just as disappointed, more so than anyone else, that you are not defending the WWF Championship against Psycho Sid, or for that matter, whomever would have been stacked up against you. And no one has taken on more challengers. No one in the history who's ever won this championship belt has ever had the schedule, has ever had to endure the kind of schedule that you have so readily taken upon yourself.
well, there's one thing about me is that I can't do anything halfway. And I come here and I hear the people and they chant Sid's name, or they chant Bret's name, and they chant a lot of people's name. And one thing is for sure, you're gonna have all of that in the future.
And that's what I want for the World Wrestling Federation fans. In spite of what people may think about me, what I've always wanted for all these people is for them to have a good time and to enjoy themselves. I've always tried to be the one to provide it, whether it was on the good side or the bad side. But what was always most important to me was the performance. So that these people, each time they reached in their pocket and they paid to get a WWF ticket, they didn't regret it because they knew that if they saw my name on the card, they could yell, they could come and they could cheer and they could boo and they could do whatever they wanted as long as they had a good time. Over the last couple months, there's been a lot of talk of people having bad attitudes and a lot revolving around this belt. All I know today is that one thing that's not going to revolve around this belt for a long time is going to be Shawn Michaels. I don't know where I'm at right now. I have to have everything checked. I may be beyond reconstructive knee surgery. I may or may not be able to fix it, but if I can't come back and perform at the level that I performed at before, I can't perform. I can't come out here and just go half-ass. I have to come out here and I have to romp and stomp and I have to get tossed around, I have to toss people around, and I have to have fun. The schedule over the last year I took on because I didn't feel like I could say no. I wanted to do everything. I wanted to enjoy my life as the WWF champion. I wanted to ride in Lear jets, and I wanted to ride in limousines, and I wanted to be on TV shows, and I wanted to do autograph sessions, and I got to do every bit of that. And if nothing else, I have all of that to take with me. But again, and I know right now we're in the middle of a time where toughness is real big here in the World Wrestling Federation. And unfortunately, all I've got right now for you is a lot of sorrow, a lot of tears, and a lot of emotion. I don't have any toughness for anybody. So I guess, you know, here you go. Here's your belt, and what I'm gonna do is go back home and see what's left for me, whether it be in this ring, whether it be out of this ring. I know that over the last several months, I've lost a lot of things, and one of them has been my smile. And I know it doesn't mean a whole lot to everybody else, but it means a lot to me. So I have to go back and fix myself and take care of myself. And I have to go back and I have to find my smile, because somewhere along the line, I lost it. And I don't care, really. I don't care if it's unpopular. I don't care if people want to make fun of me because I'm an emotional guy. But this is all I've ever wanted to do. And over the last year, I got to do it. And whether you like me or not, I just want to tell you that last year was the most wonderful year of my life. And if I never get to do it again, it'll be okay, because I got to live one full year as being the #1 guy in this business. And it was the single most greatest year of my life. And I have you to thank, and I have everybody here to thank. And it means a lot to me. And I'm gonna go home now, okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, Shawn Michaels!
Little gorilla, God bless him.
Tears are flowing, not only from Shawn, but from the audience as well. And JR, I made a faux pas. I'm going to get shredded. It wasn't in 97 that he got attacked in Syracuse. It was 95. That's what I get
I
for
didn't remember
freestyling.
that.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that going there.
That was 95. So
well, don't ever make another mistake, please.
damn it, JR, you know how that goes. So anyway, but listen, I want to get back to this. This is widely talked about, lives in wrestling history, this announcement.
See that fan right there doing his little.
Yeah, the Wolfpack.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's important to get in.
Yeah.
Idiots. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, really. You're right.
I don't want you to have any attention. I want it to be on me.
That's right. Let's thrust my face in the camera. Look, he can't even get around the fans there. He is limping heavily though. He mentioned the knee surgery. There's a guy.
Yeah, his back was bad, but the biggest issue Shawn had to carry around was in his head.
Yeah.
He was depressed. He was uncertain of his future in a lot of ways. So,
there's your embrace with him.
Yeah. I think
Howard Finkel.
I may have called one of his first matches when Jose Lothario recommended Cowboy Bill Watts hire him in Mid-South. And the smartest thing Watts did was put Shawn in the car with Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, and they became riding partners.
My goodness.
And you could only imagine the art of being a baby face was like to the PhD level.
To hear you say that, JR, you think who he was in the car with? Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, and then he would go on to form not, Rock and Roll Express, but the Midnight Rockers to become the Rockers.
How about that? Coincidental, huh?
Wow. So Meltzer said this sent shockwaves throughout the industry because it was totally unexpected. Apparently, the WWF higher-ups received word at about 6 p.m. the previous night from Michaels that he was taking time off. When Michaels informed WWF officials that his doctor in San Antonio had told him his knee injury could be career-ending. WWF sources claimed that they chose the tact rather than do an angle on Michaels' knee with a wrestler like Sid or Steve Austin to give him a grudge match upon his return because they were afraid of doing any further damage to the knee. Perhaps the real-life situation involving Brian Pillman, where both he and the WWF wanted to use him so much when he would have been rehabbing his ankle healing improperly, and he wound up having to have everything redone and start from scratch. Kept him out of the ring for more than a year when it was all said and done, kept them away from that. Of course, at the same point in time, even with all the damage to Pillman's ankle, they still did an in-ring angle for the storyline explanation and the grudge match build up for the eventual return.
We had to cover our bases here. That's why this long on camera. We're trying to get more information out there and try to put a bow on this climactic situation.
Meltzer would go on to say it was announced with the title vacant that the final 4 match on the Sunday pay-per-view, and that's what you guys were doing right there, which was to determine who would get the title shot at WrestleMania, would now instead be for the title, and that the original title contender, Sid, would get the winner the next day. And we're not watching that pay-per-view, but Bret goes on to win that final 4, and then Bret loses to Sid that next night on Raw. So Sid ends up getting the title. He ends up going to WrestleMania to take on Undertaker, but that's how all that would play out.
That was WrestleMania 13.
That's correct.
And Bret had another project that night.
And we're going to talk about that because you're going to get a ton of fan questions around that project. And that project is none other than the Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin. And we'll always remember that match.
Savio Vega in there representing I guess he's representing, is he representing the nation or his own group?
It is. It's Savio Vega, and it seems like I feel like he's turning heel at this point.
Oh, I think so, yeah.
And it is. They are part of the Nation group, at this point. But real quick, as we watch The Undertaker make his way to the ring, you heard the crowd chanting Sid during it. Michaels looked rough. This isn't the feel-good moment I think a lot of people look back and think it is, because it's really not. Are you upset? Do you think Shawn should have gotten the form to do this at this time? Is anyone super pissed about all this?
All you can do, Paul, is go by what the doctors are telling you.
Yeah.
As simple as that. It's not everybody trying to be Dr. Phil. Well, he could have done this. He should have done that. I remember when he said this, and blah, blah, blah. He was a pain in the ass to a lot of people, including me at times. Not that I need a pillow to cry on, but yeah, he's a handful. So then we come back. Undertaker and Savio always had entertaining matches. Great respect between the two men.
Savio had turned heel at Madison Square Garden at this point, and he was taking on the Undertaker. To your point, and this is a fun match here. Savio, you've talked about Savio even the last show we did. How high you were on him and his talent in the ring.
Yeah, very underrated. Very underrated. And for somebody in talent relations or in administration, he's the kind of guy that you like because he checks all the boxes of being reliable, hardworking. He will contribute to his creative. He could work with anybody. That versatility is really, really an invaluable trait.
You've talked about it before, JR, but how close was the Undertaker and Savio? It seemed like you could tell they were friends. I mean,
they're very close.
Yeah,
and they had great respect for each other, but they did have a very strong professional bond.
You happen to note during this match that the nation will be part of the Down South tour that the WWF is having, and there'll be some confrontations as a result. How badly do you think at this point, JR, WWF needs some top-level heels, and you're just hoping that someone, maybe in this group, the nation, can stand out and be one of those top-level heels if possible?
Well, that's why you put heel factions together in the hopes that someone in that group will break out, will break through, will get their own TV series, et cetera, et cetera. So, who's going to be Jennifer Aniston out of the cast of what was that show she was on?
Friends.
Oh yeah, they're still airing the damn thing.
Yeah.
My wife, Jan loved that show. I got a little overwhelmed with it.
Courtney Cox, Jennifer Aniston.
I still watch her commercials.
Yeah.
Undertaker doing that Don Jardine, the spoiler, walking the top rope.
And you see down and they're promoting there in Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's where the Final Four in your house would be. But you have Jamie Dundee and Wolfie D and D'Lo Brown representing the nation. What do you remember about Wolfie D and Jamie Dundee? Anything on those guys?
Well, they were decent kids. They were just getting an opportunity. Bill Dundee, very well respected guy, and a former booker there at Mid-South, his son. And I don't know the background of the other young man, Wolfie D, but you're looking for guys that can feed a comeback and take bumps and add a new face and maybe, just maybe, find their niche. You never know until the journey begins.
Savio trying to get back to his feet here. Who's the referee? Remind me do you remember the name of the
Billy
referee?
Silverman.
There, that's right. WCW ref as well.
Yeah. He quit in the middle of a tour because of his perception of how he's being treated by the talent.
Ah. Just ribs or just not something more than that, or?
I don't think there's anything. He committed 2 murders, fall on the road, kidnapped a family.
Well, there's our soundbite for the week.
And he broke into Conrad's cabin and locked the refrigerator. It was a tragedy.
That'll do it. Locking Connie's fridge will do it every time.
Sometimes just being overly sensitive, sometimes saying the wrong thing to the wrong guy, will get you in the hot water. And I got Billy in some hot water somehow or another. And he, I think they wanted him to buy some booze for a trip or something, which is not unusual. D'Lo Brown there in the background, young D'Lo.
Young D'Lo.
The former defensive end of the Maine Black Bears.
Mm.
But see, you could tell how much, here's how you can measure respect. Undertaker is selling like crazy for Savio.
That's correct.
It's not like, he's just moving or exhaling hard. He's selling. He's letting Savio get his stuff in because the Undertaker is such a brilliant strategist, as is Savio, that the stronger Savio looks, the better the Undertaker's win will be perceived.
As we're watching this match, JR and Savio working over Undertaker, as you said, in the corner, I'm going to jump into a couple of the questions because we got a lot of them for the show, 11 or 12 or so. And so I'm going to start. A lot of it's around Shawn, so we're going to have some fun. But on this day in WWE, that's a Twitter handle, says, "Hi, JR. Watching the Raws back 25 years later, it felt that the worked tension between Shawn and Bret slowly spilled over into reality. Was there a specific incident that you can recall that triggered all of this?"
Well, they had a lot of incidents. We've talked about it, seeing them right here on the show. You know, the thing in New Haven, the fight they had, where there was a lot of hair lost, unsafe working conditions, et cetera, et cetera. See, this is why these two boys are hired.
That's right.
Outside interference, because they'll soon be bumping their ass off. They'll be flying all over. What town is this in?
This is in Lowell, Massachusetts.
Lowell, yeah. I always had trouble remembering the town, that Lowell.
So, so it was a series of events, to your point. It just wasn't one thing.
Yeah, it wasn't just one thing. It was, that one night did it.
Yeah.
It's not, that's not, I don't have that answer. I can sure make one up for you, though, if you want me to.
Yeah,
I can lie.
It was a specific incident that happened in a cabin somewhere.
Yeah.
We had another question come in from an Instagram, a wrestling historian. He said, and this is actually a theme through some of the questions.
Was there cover?
Yeah, here we go. 1, 2. No, not getting the Undertaker.
It was close. It was close, though. You got a long 2 count.
Yeah. He said, was there talk of Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels versus Steve Austin for the title at WrestleMania 13? So was there talk of including the title?
There might have been, but the plan we had for Steve and Bret and the double turn, we felt like was more viable and would be more memorable than another convoluted 3-man title match. But was it discussed? I'm sure it was discussed. It just wasn't seriously considered. Again, Savio pounding away at the dead man, and every heel in the back looking out there saying, "Man, I wonder if it'd sell like that for me."
JR, this is 25 years ago. Can you, as you watch this, are you taken back to this evening and actually recall being there, or is this just so far in the rearview mirror it's like watching it all over again?
No, I remember little nuances, the small little dressing rooms and the tight quarters, the small arena, and another false finish.
This is incredible. I mean, I know they said the first match was the best match, but this is not a bad match at all between these two.
It'll probably get a third of a star from Dave.
Yeah, wait till you see this. I have it here for you. Oh,
That's what they call in Calgary a malfunction at the junction.
Yikes, man. Oh,
and with that soon we'll go home.
Yeah, that looked like a leg drop supposed to go over the head, but it kind of crunched him like an accordion. Here we go for the big choke slam by Taker. Savio's scared to death, lifts him up, choke slams him out of his shorts.
Look at the elevation. That elevation was incredible.
Here we go, and it's over. 1, 2, 3.
Nice
Undertaker
job.
Pins him 8 minutes. Oh, and here comes Wolfie D, Jamie Dundee, D-Lo.
You got to give the little Undertaker a little bit more of a bone to chew on.
Ron Simmons, Farouk comes down to the ring.
Yeah, business will pick up now because
let's listen to this chaos. Let's listen to this.
Watch that big Johnson go.
No, he's not down. No, he's not down.
Here comes the dead man.
The Undertaker with 2 members of the Nation of Domination.
Double choke slam. The ring bell guy's earning his money tonight.
Mark,
Holy
we used to call those beers Stone Cold.
Johnson and The Undertaker. The clean house of the Nation of Domination.
Oh my God, that woke up the crowd. And they're standing tall, JR, as you would say, in the ring.
A nice little comeback. Taker did his business. He had a good match before all the Hey, you know.
Let's see how good of a match Meltzer said it was, because I know you're going to be excited to hear this.
Oh, sure.
Undertaker pinned Vega in 8:44 after chokeslam. After the match, Taker was beating on Wolfie D, Jamie Dundee, and D'Lo, who all tried to interfere with Farouk. Crush finally made it 6-on-1, but here came Big Johnson. Ahmed Johnson made the save, but eventually they got him down. Undertaker sat up as they pounded on Johnson. And together the two cleaned house. Vega did a good job in the match. 1.5 stars.
Yeah, I thought that was a little tight.
1.5 stars.
Yeah, I thought it was better than 1.5 stars.
Yeah.
You know.
Look who it is. We want to hear a little of this.
This man, no doubt, will get in your face.
He's in a bad mood all the time.
Psycho Sid next, ladies and gentlemen. However, standing by, I believe, with Gorilla Monsoon, Doc Hendricks. Doc?
Thanks, Vince. President Monsoon, a heart-wrenching time for the World Wrestling Federation, and particularly for WWF, ex-WWF champion Shawn Michaels. Now the title is vacant. Could you explain to us your reasoning for this Sunday in Chattanooga, the Final Four match, now being a Final Four match for the World Wrestling Federation title?
Well, I did, Doc, what I thought would be fair to everybody concerned, all parties concerned. Of course, when the champion forfeits the title, that's a very disheartening thing for everyone. You know, nobody wants to see anyone come under those circumstances. But I think it's a golden opportunity for everyone involved in the Final Four, because in that Final Four match, whomever is crowned victorious now will be the new World Wrestling Federation champion.
All right, well, let me ask you this, President Monsoon. That seems a very fair decision. Those 4 men top contenders. Where does this leave Psycho Sid, the former WWF champion?
Well, I'm trying to be fair to everyone, and Sid also comes under that consideration as well. Sid will get his chance. He was lined up for a title shot. He's still going to get that title shot. Only it'll occur this Monday night in Nashville on Raw against whomever out of the Final Four is crowned new WWF champion.
Wow, big news. Back to you guys at ringside.
All right, thank you very much. And I would suggest that's just about the fairest thing you can do.
There it is, the big news. And we got Stone Cold versus Sid coming up. I mentioned to you earlier, JR, that, I do a show with Mike Chioda a little bit. But you know what he talks about Gorilla Monsoon was just growing up, he was very close with Joey Morella. And Joey Morella, the son of Gorilla.
Right.
But he and Joey were buddies. They were also became buddies with Tony Chimmel. They were all part of the neighborhood growing up in Jersey. And it's something to hear how that Gorilla took care of all of them when it came to finding them jobs, helping them get started in the business. And you just hear just the even different side of Gorilla and the type of man that he was.
He had a beautiful heart. He had a beautiful heart. And Gorilla and his wife never had their own children. Joey was a stepson, and but he looked at all those kids like Chioda, and of course Joey more than anybody.
Yeah.
And those young guys, like they were family. He felt responsible to giving them good advice. And hey, look, I've heard him chew their ass out relentlessly.
Mm.
Well, that's what parents do.
Yeah,
Paul.
Absolutely. No, I'm with you. I'm always I'm enamored. I love to hear your stories. It's true.
He loved those guys, and he wouldn't give them a free pass. Did they get some perks because they were Gorilla's boys? Absolutely. But apparently he had pretty good judgment. How long did Chioda's career was 30+ years?
35 years driving a truck, not just the glory of refereeing. We're seeing him here referee Austin Sid, but I mean, he'll tell you, putting rings together, sweating his ass off, driving those trucks around from town to town, him and Chibble all the years up and down the road. He was the guy, they were the guys that drove the trucks with Matilda and Damien in those trucks, carrying the animals around. I mean, they did it all the grunt work.
They're hardworking guys, and they got rewarded for their efforts. I'm not sure. I've always wondered, because I didn't get to see enough of this, what kind of chemistry Psycho Sid and Austin really had.
This isn't a long match. Let's listen a little bit, but this does not go very long, as you can imagine. Let's check out a little bit of the commentary.
No, right into the ring post. Sid 6'9", 313 pounds, slowed down by that steel ring post, who is very unforgiving, I'll tell you that. Sid back in the ring now. Austin sets him up, coming off the rope from the other side. Austin with the elbow. I don't know how tall. And a count, 2. I don't know how tall Stone Cold is. I don't know how much he weighs. He is just cold. That's all I can tell you. He is that. He will get on it. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Abdominal stretched out wide on the 6'9" frame.
You know, Sid sometimes gets a bad rap for this, that, or the other, but just the little bit that we're watching here, he's a good working partner with Steve.
They're fine.
Yeah.
They were going to work a different pace, a different style. That great move we saw the headbangers do earlier off the top, you won't see that here. Just so you guys can relax at home. They ain't leaving their feet. They don't have to, because they're smart. One thing about Quixote, he always added energy. And he wanted the people to know that he was in charge, which is what he should be doing.
That's right. Reacting to the moves, making sure he's communicating with the wrestlers.
He was in a perfect position there for referees maybe watching this to see both shoulders.
He always talks about working the 3 sides of the ring and positioning yourself.
Yeah, Mike did a good job. He grew up in the damn ring. And you know, the thing about Joey Morello was going to probably be the referee of the century. He was just really excellent.
I was watching, to your point, when you say that, he refereed Andre Hogan at WrestleMania 3. Then you fast forward to the main event. You had the Hebner switch with Hogan and Andre. Remember when they did the whole double switch? I know you do with the main event. But then Andre and Hogan would take on each other again in the tournament at WrestleMania 4, which Savage would ultimately win. But that Hogan-Andre matchup in that tournament refereed by Joey Morella. Joey Morella was in there for some big-time matchups in his day.
Well, he was trusted. And again, reliability pays dividends in everybody's walk of life.
Sid with the big boot here on Stone Cold.
Austin making sure Sid gets all Sid's stuff in.
And here we go.
Bret going right to Steve. Sid sitting back and surveying what looks like damage.
Bret runs in, interferes, and this ends in a DQ after 3 minutes, 42 seconds. And according to Dave Meltzer, a substitute match from a world title match, this was really lame. Since they went short, it was fast-paced, but Sid was still awful. Meltzer was not a fan of Sid. After the match, they explained Hart interfered because he watched the match and couldn't stand it any longer. Dave Meltzer said, I was thinking the same thing. Bret and Sid did a long pull apart after the match to set up their match for their next Raw, although nobody knew that was going to be the match at the time. And there we go. He gave it 1 star.
Oh, that's nice of him.
Yeah.
Look at Jerry Briscoe in there. He's got his new coat on.
You got Hebner, one of the Hebners.
Yeah.
Both of the Hebners are in there, and it is a massive pull apart.
Notice where Briscoe's standing. He's standing on Bret's left.
Yeah.
Because Bret is right-handed. Process that info.
Right.
You won't get that on Bruce's show.
No, you won't.
I'm kidding.
No, you don't have to kid. This is good. This is us. You can do whatever, say whatever you want. It's fun. And they're back at it, swinging the haymakers.
Yeah, this Meltzer was right about the fact that this went a little long. Pull apart. Bret's not even breathing hard.
And then they go back to Vader.
There's Leon.
Let me see what
if there's ever if you drew a monster heel,
Can you hear that, JR?
Yeah.
Okay.
6 weeks that not only taken The Undertaker on in front of 60,000 fans and put him on his back, 1, 2, 3, but on 2 separate occasions whipped Stone Cold Steve Austin's butt on 2 separate occasions.
Yeah.
Bret the Hitman Hart on Monday Night Raw right here. Now, do you answer that question?
Well,
I'll answer it. You, Vader, you're the man.
Who's the man?
You are.
What time is it?
Vader time.
stay with us. We'll be right back.
They're playing you out, Vader. Here we go. So
Lawler's so good about filling his face and getting back to the point and getting us an out point. That's great. That's great broadcasting.
it's interesting here, JR, because Austin, I mean, he is so red hot and over as a babyface. I want to go to here. Let's hear what Vince has got to say. Let's listen to this first.
What are you up to, King? What are you doing? Well, I'm sending a Western Union money transfer. You know, tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day, okay?
Thanksgiving.
I know what it is.
Good, King.
Look at you. I'm always thinking about food, Ross. Oh. It's Valentine's Day. I'm having to send some money to my mother back in Memphis.
You're sending money to your mom on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
You gotta have something to buy me a Valentine's Day present with, don't you?
Oh, boy.
Coming your way, Mom. Fastest way to send money.
Worldwide. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that in mind, we have a great deal of action coming up for you tonight on Thursday. Well, Thursday right now, however, let's take you back and we will show you one of the comments that Shawn Michaels said that he had lost. And obviously this is
we're getting a little
huge
more
loss to
here.
the World Wrestling Federation and fans all over the world. The fact that Shawn Michaels tonight has forfeited, he has surrendered due to injury, the World Wrestling Federation Championship. Let's take you back to an earlier Shawn Michaels comment.
I know that over the last several months.
So we're not going to listen to that again. We've already listened to it once on the show, but we can go to a couple questions while they're showing the Shawn, because it's all around Shawn. So Justin Davis says, what was the general feeling backstage with the talent about Shawn losing his smile? And did they feel like the belt was being underappreciated?
Most of them didn't trust him. Most of them thought he was working. Not everybody, but a lot of them. Because Shawn's giving away what they are all there to attain. And a lot of them couldn't relate to that, or couldn't believe it could be done or would be done. So it was just a time of, like we talked earlier, controversy, uncertainty, and a locker room that is wrought with controversy and things of that nature, insecurity. The wrestlers don't need any more help in becoming insecure. It goes to the territory for a lot of them. And Shawn was especially sensitive to a lot of those things. But I still think his addiction issues were his biggest enemy, not his knee.
JR, you said something earlier, and you said, man, he was a handful to deal with. As much as this hurts the roster in terms of maybe making money and him being the world champ, was there also a little bit of a sense of we won't have to deal with him for a little
maybe
bit?
a little bit from some people, but you got to understand what level and what type of talent you're losing. You know, at that time, he was considered either the best or the 1 or 1A of all the workers in the world. And that'll be taken to task by some who will say, well, how come you didn't name somebody from New Japan? I don't know.
But he was, though. I mean, come on, let's be realistic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you lose a talent of that level. Look at Owen. He's just he was the greatest. We're counting down the days to the big the Owen Hart, I guess, the tournament we're going to have.
That's correct. Both male and female, right?
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. I hope that Owen's kids get to be a part of it, you know, make an appearance or come to an event or something. I'd love to see them. Last time I saw them, it was under very unpleasant circumstances, obviously.
I'm sure.
And they were little kids. Hell, now they're adults. And I think I think the boy's a lawyer.
Wow. I know they were very well spoken when they did the Dark Side of the Ring on Owen Hart. Were involved in some of that. All his, so I'm really excited to see how that all turns out as well. I mean, his action figure is going to be out soon. It is just so cool to see him. As we see here, it's he and Davey defending the tag titles against Farouk and Crush. It is just so cool to see his name in major wrestling headlines again, and that his wife and family are so committed to, promoting his name and his likeness and doing it for charity, all for a good cause. It's exciting as a wrestling fan.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Crush is here again on his extended Undertaker scholarship.
There we go. And he's got him in the high press slam. He was impressive. To your point earlier, we talked about him in Toronto at the Skydome show. He had some tools. Crush did.
Yeah. Charisma, he's a shortage of charisma. He didn't, and I don't know exactly the reason. A lot of times it's a feel thing, but he didn't connect with the audience as well as I'm sure that Crush would have liked.
And I'm going to get some hate on this one, and that's okay, because this is another more AEW, and I don't care. But a big man, when I watch Crush, and I just saw him, and you say lack of charisma, and you know who I thought of who is a big man that doesn't lack charisma right now, and I'm having fun watching him develop, is Wardlow. It's going to be fun. Look, well, that's a pile driver. I thought he was going to do a power bomb. Man, talk about a big man that's going to break out soon. I mean, it already is breaking out.
Yeah, he's a keeper. He's a blue chipper. There's no doubt. Wardlow is going to be
you can feel the momentum right now for him, as the storyline progressing.
And we're getting some bigger guys too. You notice.
Oh yeah, the big man's there now. Keith Lee.
He's got a lot of work to do, and but he's an undeveloped product. There's a cover.
We didn't even get to talk about that, man. That big reveal this past that was on Dynamite.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was exciting.
I'm a fan of his. Cowboy Bill Watts told me a long time ago that athletic big men have a great chance of drawing money. And certainly Keith Lee is an athletic big man.
And I'm of the thought, if one company says, hey, we got to cut you and you can make it in another company, hell yeah, let's get him paid and let's watch him as a fan. That's what it's all about. Supporting these guys.
He's got to make a living.
That's right.
And so, Tony Khan provided an opportunity there for Keith Lee as Bret Hart looks on.
That's right.
All these stories we're trying to intertwine a lot of these stories. Let's hear this.
Yeah, here we go.
Hang him up. I think that it's a loss for everybody, including me, and especially for him. And I know that, you can't deny anything about Shawn Michaels. That nobody ever worked harder than Shawn Michaels. And no one's, it's a big shock for everybody in the World Wrestling Federation. And I just think that, Shawn Michaels thinks that that it's over. I don't personally think it is over. And I think there's always something down the line, and I believe he'll be back. And I know that it was his dream to be the World Wrestling Federation champion just one time, whether it was 2 times or whatever. To be the champion was his big dream. But I believe that he has one more dream left, and that dream is to come back to the World Wrestling Federation. And whether it's to conquer everybody or not, or the fact is, I would love to wrestle the guy. I have a score to settle with him, but most importantly, I hope that things work out for him in his career and he gets his knee fixed.
One quick point a little bit later on as we're watching this tag team championship matchup. On the way to your opportunity to be champion once again at the Final Four this Sunday on pay-per-view. You're meeting an individual competition. One of the men whom you'll be meeting in the Final Four. Tonight, it's you versus Vader. What about it?
Again, you're talking about somebody that you just can't underestimate. He's like wrestling a cement truck. That's what it's like. There's no way around it. He's going to be tough. He always has been tough, and he's won up me one time before, but this time things are a little different. I feel better. I'm looking forward to the match, and I feel 100%. But I don't think it's Vader time. I think it's Hitman time.
Thank you very much. Bret the Hitman Hart, ladies and gentlemen.
Against Vader, and that match is next, folks, live. We got a Donnybrook going right now.
There you go. The theme of the show, obviously, is what's going on with Shawn, as it should be. This is big news. This is your world heavyweight champion that's turning in the belt, and that's changing the stories, like you said, like Meltzer even said, I mean, rapid fire the last 24 hours prior to the show, I'm sure.
Yeah, and a lot of people couldn't follow the story well, but they started getting it. It all led to one place, the championship. We don't have a champion as of this broadcast. So it was just all the dots are starting to get closer to be attached.
You got heels versus heels, by the way, here in this tag match. And Owen, by the way, to end this match as we get the La Femme Nikita. Always missed La Femme Nikita. That was a fun show on Monday after Raw. I always missed Up All Night with Rhonda Shear. Do you remember that? That was on USA.
I remember that.
Oh, yeah. I was as a prepubescent boy, I was always looking forward to those Saturday night shows.
I bet.
But we're going to end up having Owen blowing out his knee as the finish. What are your thoughts? You think that's a big deal or not, considering Shawn's interview earlier? Should that have been a different finish?
It seemed a little awkward. Two significant stories involving knees in one 2-hour show.
Yeah.
Might have been a little too much in hindsight.
I'm going to go
One
on
thing about Crush, he was so damn strong, and he could be very athletic. When his motor was running, he was good, man, really good. Of course, not enough good things can be said about Ron Simmons, Hall of Famer.
He's got Davey Boy in the bear hug. I want to keep going here with some questions because like I said, there's quite a bit. And we'll wrap up the show with more. But just Chris said, if HBK versus Bret was on for WrestleMania 13, who was Austin in line to face at WrestleMania 13? I've been watching.
Well, that was the issue.
Yeah.
It's going to be somebody out of that Final Four. It could have been Sid, could have been Taker. So Austin got the best of the draw. Everybody's going to title crazy. What about the belt? What about the strap? We got to protect the strap. Hey, where's the strap? I don't know. I know where the belt is. So, come on. It's a personal issue. And Bret and Steve had a great personal issue. And the investment in making Austin a rugged babyface, I think, proved to be the right way to go.
History tells us that was the way to go, for sure. Michael Burgett says Lowell, Massachusetts was a staple for the WWF in this time. What were some of JR's memories of the arena and working there during that time? Any other memories of Lowell?
Facilities were tiny. Everybody had trouble finding a place to dress. We didn't have catering back then, so catering was not an issue. You didn't waste a room on catering. So, but it was just a small, old arena. There's the tag to Owen.
What was it? Just everybody fended for themselves when it came to food?
Yep.
Huh. Everybody just go to Wendy's if you need to on the way in.
Yeah, Subway, whatever.
Now it's Eric Bischoff's favorite thing to do when he goes for shows.
Well, hey, look, the catering for both AEW and WWE. I haven't had WWE catering in a long time, but I hear it's really good and it's healthy.
And AEW's got a spread for their shows too. Very good.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. We feed. They get. As a matter of fact, they get fed twice.
Before and after, huh?
No. 1 o'clock and then again at 5 or 6.
Nice.
You have a lunch meal and a dinner meal. They change up the menu. It's really good. Tony Khan takes good care of these people.
Sounds like it. We got a brawl going on outside the ring. Davey Boy and Farouk, it's breaking down. The ref's got a count going on, and he rings the bell. That's how it ends. Count out on Owen. And you know what that means? They're retaining the tag titles in 12 minutes 23. And there's a beatdown going in the ring now with Davey Boy. Hart and Smith worked as total faces, according to Meltzer. There was zero explanation of this match, considering Clarence Mason manages both teams, and his name was never talked about. Mason
kind of for that reason, it was awkward booking. He shouldn't have been out there.
He simply worked the Farouk and Crush corner with no storyline as to why. Smith was mainly worked on the entire match and made the hot tag to Hart. Hart took a bump over the top rope and sold his knee again and stayed outside for the title-saving countout He gave it 3/4 of a star. So there you go. That's not good at all.
Owen's going back to pick up the titles, I think.
He does. He circles back, grabs the titles, which is a nice touch, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, Davey forgot it. Forgot us. Don't get me started.
The show is running super long at this point. You can tell Bret gets some power moves. He's going to ends up jumping in with Vader here in a minute. These guys are still walking out. And oh, here he comes. He's like, they're talking to each other. What are we doing? I want to hear what the announcers have to say, because this seems like a little bit of a schmoz here.
Well, the tag team championship still around the waist of Bulldog and Owen Hart. It can only change on submission or a pin.
Bret the Hitman Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker.
Michael P.S. Hayes with the
4 men linked by controversy. 4 men with a history of
4 men linked by controversy. I'm very genuine. I mean everything I'm saying. Or do I?
There can be only one.
Could be only one.
Sunday on pay-per-view.
He's doing his best movie trailer impersonation.
Yeah. Michael, very versatile.
Yeah. Who would have thought all those days in Mid-South that he'd be out here doing pay-per-view trailers for WWF? Here comes
There's
Big
Leon. One of my all-time favorites. He's like a large child. He was like Tommy Boy. Leon White, a.k.a. Vader, JR's wrestling Tommy Boy.
Well, this is the big match to send the show home that they came up with. It is Bret and Vader. The crowd is just crazy for Bret.
He connects. Why does he connect, Paul? You know why he connected the audience as well as he did?
Tell me,
you have
JR.
any idea?
Well, I mean, I know why he connected with it. He was authentic.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons.
He was believable.
He was believable. There you go.
That's exactly right.
Believable.
He talked to you. He talked on the microphone, and with the words that he said, you believed every word he said because you felt it. And that's what a lot of, I mean, if you form a connection, that's all I want as a wrestling fan. I want to feel invested and connected and make me feel like there's something there.
This is a nice touch. He did this pretty much everywhere he went.
Yeah,
giving his sunglasses to some kid.
Sunglasses to the kid makes their day, makes their life. That little kid right there, probably an AdFreeShows member.
Yeah, our daughter is. His daughter. I don't know if it's a boy or girl.
I'm not sure, but we'll just say
it don't
boy
matter.
Or little girl. That's right. Probably
Fan.
an AdFreeShow. That's right. Here comes Undertaker. Let's listen to this.
Creatures, I hate to interrupt, but there seems to be a problem with respect. The Undertaker, he don't seem to get it anymore. Well, gentlemen, let me forewarn you now. In 4 days' time in Nashville, Tennessee, you will have to look into the eyes of the Reaper along with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And each of you know you can't beat me. So what you have to deal with, Hitman, and what you have to deal with, Vader, is the time is at hand. And you three will rest in peace.
Or as Conrad would say, rest in a piece of cake.
That opening line got me. Creatures, I hate to interrupt. That was just funny the way he started that promo. My goodness.
You know, one of the great things about Vader, it was the fact that he was a super heavyweight, huge, way over 300.
Huge.
Very athletic. And well, there's Steve getting him some.
And they go to commercial.
Yep. So you'll come back.
We're getting the Intercontinental title win earlier in the night with the Western Union Rewind.
It shows you that a wrestling hole can win a title.
Yeah.
Amazing. What a concept.
It doesn't have to be 25 super kicks.
No. Or 23 or 4.
Yeah.
You're right. Leon, but the thing about Leon, I was going to say, Leon had a second gear. So Leon could feed a comeback very well. But he knew how to get heat. Look at this.
Oh, look at him just pulverizing, just those big lunchbox hands, just taking it to Hart in the corner.
And Bret loved it.
Because it looked real. Hart loved anything that made the bout or the wrestling match have a sense of realism and authenticity once again. And that's what Vader brought to the ring. Look at that clothesline. That's power. You can feel it sitting at home in your TV, in your recliner.
Simple execution. Nothing fancy. But then Leon will pull this out. Something like this on the second rope.
Oh!
And that was a great counter.
Power slam from Leon jumping off the rope. And yeah, big man that can do something like that. Are you kidding me?
I don't think Bret wanted Leon to get up.
No, I don't think he liked how fast he got up from that power slam.
So Bret now showing you that he can throw a punch and headbutt.
Yeah, Bret's coming in hot now, and you're going to have to keep up with his style here. But that's what was great about Vader is he could wrestle this type of style with a guy like Bret. He could wrestle.
Leon had all
those
those great matches in Japan for Inoki and Mr. Baba. He had to learn to pick up his pace and not just be a Clydesdale. That's what I used to tell him. So, goddamn, Leon, you're an athlete. You ain't no Clydesdale, man. So it gave Leon was so easy to motivate because he was an old school athlete. As we said, he played football at Colorado, played for the Rams. Congratulations on their Super Bowl win.
Big win.
Yeah, I was pulling for Cincinnati because of the Oklahoma boys, Joe Mixon and Samad J.P. Ryan. But I was never anti-Rams. I just was hoping that then the head coach at Cincinnati grew up in Norman, where I still have a home. Played high school football there.
I'm with you. I could find reasons to be happy with either team winning. It's a little harder for me. Oh, look at that takedown.
It was a good game.
It was. At least it came down to the end. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good game. I didn't bet a dime. People find that amazing. I'm not betting on football.
I don't blame you.
Well, you work too hard for your damn money, man.
That's right. Why risk it? I'm with you.
I got a lot of other ways I can waste it.
Yeah. And sometimes those can be a little bit more enjoyable. So,
yeah, so there you go.
I'm with you.
Or as they would say, ding, ding, ding.
You and I are on the same page, JR. Uh-oh, here comes Stone Cold in the balcony.
Well, Pat Patterson.
Pat Patterson, let's listen.
Look at this. Stone Cold's up in the balcony. Look at that. Vader with the hitman Bret Hart. Oh, he calls him down.
And again, JR, it's this type of stuff. You have no idea that it's coming, right? You never wanted to be prepped. You just kind of reacted.
I don't know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's fun.
They may have figured this out 10 minutes before the match. Austin is encouraging Leon to drop the big hammer on Bret.
Missed moonsault from Vader. Austin's talking all kinds of shiznit. 1, 2, and 3. That's it. That's the match. Stone
Austin
Cold
was the
thinks
first
it's
guy
hilarious.
to talk cowboy shiznit.
He is. He's talking that cowboy shiznit.
You know, I'd love to see Austin wrestle a guy like Hangman Page.
Yes.
Or Lance Archer, among many others, but they'd have beat the shit out of each other and liked it.
As we wrap up the show, let's wrap it up with what Meltzer said. He said, it was okay, but not at the level you expect for these two guys in the main event as a television special. I'm only going to give it 2.5 stars.
I get it. It's a wrestling podcast, but he's saving us money on our mortgage. Do you really trust this process? The reviews don't lie. 5-star review after 5-star review. We make it fast, we make it easy, and it's no cost or obligation. Give us a shot to earn your business. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did, especially if you like keeping more of your own money. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket, so what are you waiting for? Hurry to SaveWithConrad.com.
So JR, that is it. That is Thursday, Raw Thursday, because we didn't hear that enough throughout the show.
Yeah.
And what did you think? This is always going to be remembered as Shawn's speech and Rocky's title win. What did you think? What did you think about this show?
Well, I think it's going to be known as the show where Shawn lost his smile.
Right.
I think in a nutshell, that's it. Yeah. Because there were other good matches on there too. But it was significant for Rock's career. We saw him at the Super Bowl. He's still out. He's more over, quote unquote, than any pro wrestler ever in history. Look, everybody, I'd love to get Twitter feedback on that. And some of it will be negative, which is cool. Just express your opinion. I'm not going to criticize you for your own opinion, for God's sakes. But, come on. There's never been anybody in history of the wrestling business over like Dwayne Johnson. End of story. Well, what about, bullshit. Yeah, okay, you make your case. I'll make mine, and we'll take it to the judge and see who gets the verdict. Simple.
Couldn't agree with you more. We have a few more fan questions. The Rock is the man. There's nothing he can't do, whether it's alcohol and putting out tequila, whether it's buying an XFL, whether it's acting, wrestling. The guy's done it all. I don't know what else he can do. Opening the Super Bowl. What's next for that man? It's incredible.
Whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Let's have those questions. Let's get to them.
Let's do it. Socktober Art says, if Shawn doesn't lose his smile, how many big events change? For instance, do we get Bret versus Austin at all? Do we get the screw job? What about WrestleMania 14?
I don't know if you get the screw job or not. I have no idea. But of course you would get those matches. Why would you not? And secondly, what kind of goddamn question is that anyway? Well, you think you'd have this great match between Bret and Austin? No, hell no. It sells too many tickets. Takes up too much space in the arena. Those damn sellouts are hard to manage. No, it wouldn't have never happened. Stupid question. Come on.
All right. There's stupid question number 1 of the week. We have another question up next. Tennessee Hutch says, how would Cowboy and or Danny Hodge have helped HBK find his smile back in the day?
Well, I'll tell you, Cowboy would not have let a obvious problem fester. If he saw cracks in the armor for HBK, the Cowboy would have addressed it early on. I promise you. So how he would have done it, I don't know. I can't get in Bill's head. I'm sorry, but nonetheless, Watch just had a different management style. I'm not telling you it's better. I'm just saying it's different. I mean, Bill and Vince are cut out a different cloth. But Cowboy would have identified some of Shawn's issues and tried to help him. But he would have started early on. And I'm not saying Vince didn't. But and Bill would not have been influenced by Shawn's inner circle. He would not have given 2 shits. Why do people always say 2 shits?
Yeah.
What about 3 shits?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know why they stopped at 2.
I don't know either.
Good point.
It's not fair.
We'll save that one for another show. Matt Sangiovese is up next. When Shawn Michaels lost his smile, there was a huge scramble, readjust, the final for pay-per-view and WrestleMania plans. Can you talk about some of the possible ideas that were thrown out to adjust creative after losing your world champion?
Because we have put so much time and the guys are in the final 4. Any plans going forward would have been some configuration of those until we got to the next spot, until we got to a young guy like Dwayne Johnson getting over, or Austin completing his babyface turn. There was still work to do, but specific matches. I don't know if there were any specific matches other than it would have come out of that collection of the final 4 guys into some sort of program, main event level.
Matt has some more questions. Bear with me. One of them's lengthy here. He said, we all know that Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart was going to be the main event of WrestleMania. Now that Shawn lost his smile, Steve Austin basically replaced Shawn Michaels in the feud. Bret Hart won the title at the next pay-per-view, Final 4. If you knew Bret Hart and Steve Austin were going to be the replacement match, Why not have that match for the title and be the main event of WrestleMania?
Well, we thought we had a good plan. We thought we had a good plan. Why didn't the Bengals run the ball more? You got to tell me. Somebody's got to know.
My point is, you get 2 matches out of it. You get a world title match, plus you still get Austin and Hitman. So
we're going to do Austin and Hitman. We're going to do the double turn.
Yeah,
it's etched in fucking stone. Why did you want to do that? Because we thought it would work. Why else would we do the goddamn thing? And by the way, it did work. It launched Stone Cold's career to earning more money for the roster. If you're on Austin's card, you got a chance to make a damn good pay week.
Matt goes on to say, we all know that was probably the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. Do you think having the title would have made it even better? And why was the title not in the match?
Because it was a personal issue. I said that again. Watch my lips. It's a personal issue. It was part of our plan. We believed in the plan that Austin was going to be an amazing babyface, unlike we'd ever seen before. And we're going to follow that plan. And it didn't, and as they say, and I believe this, that match did not need a title to make it special. So go back and look at it. I believe it was special without the title. Much more. The title thing's overblown.
Yeah.
In this context, and you want to close your show with your title so that you can honor the championship, because we know he's going to be getting it sooner than later.
Lauren Easton says, at the time, what were some of the thoughts and opinions of the WWE personnel with Shawn Michaels losing his smile? Well, I know we talked about the wrestlers, but what about some other personnel? Were you hearing from like Pat Patterson's or Jerry Briscoe's or some of the other personnel? Just any thoughts and opinions from those guys?
We were all just trying to support Vince. It was a tough time for him because he was very close to Shawn. It was a setback in the business. We had to regroup. That fell largely on Vince's shoulders. So those of us that worked in that inner circle were just trying to support our boss. Well, it's a McMahon. Why would you do that? Well, how come the title wasn't involved? Why do you make McMahon the champion? What? So yeah, that's it. So we liked our plan, and you go back and look at it, Paul. Our plan worked. The goal was to get Austin over. Did we not get Austin over?
Oh, it got him over and then some.
Yeah. And by the way, I hate that, but I use that too much. And by the way, I got a friend does it all the time. And by the way, I said, you say, and by the way, one more fucking time, I'm going to hang up the phone. Jesus Christ. And by the way,
we need to do a show, Living with JR, man, and just have a camera follow you around. I would laugh the entire time.
Conrad don't have enough money for that. I promise you. But yeah, we had a plan that we wanted to go with, and all I can say, the results are in the proof is in the old pudding. You know,
I love pudding.
It worked. So
2 more questions. Michael says, if Ahmed Johnson hadn't got injured, is it likely that he would have become WWF champion?
Well, I was going to get my run first. Then I agreed to put him over if I had to. It's about as likely.
I love
Jesus Christ. Why would Ahmed be the champion?
He was never winning the WWF championship, guys.
Because he was an African-American. He had a glorious body. He had an amazing look. That's not enough. And he was not the most reliable guy. And his peers didn't like working with him.
That's a big deal too.
It's a hell of a big deal. So there's reasons, I can promise you this, in Vince's mindset in that day of, having more ethnicity on our shows, which I fully agree with, and I still endorse it to this very day, no matter where you are. Your ethnicity should not influence your push or anything along those lines. So I don't know where we were, but some of those questions, just like, wait a minute. Are you asking questions just for the fucking sake of asking the question?
I think they want to try to get the red ass. They're trying to pull the red ass out. Here's the final question. This comes to us from Bo. This is like a 3-part question. JR, curious. Did wrestling ever make you lose your smile?
No, but Bell's palsy did. So, and the stress and all that from my life at that time affected the Bell's palsy, created it. So in a way it did. And I've never smiled again. You know, my two granddaughters are in the 10th grade and a freshman in college. They never seen Grandpa smile. So I lost my smile. And I kid them about it, but they still love me. And just one of those deals, man. It's a hand I was dealt. Poor fucking me. I'm living in a place on the condo on the beach.
Hey, you may have lost your smile, but you have not lost your sense of humor, buddy. And that's what really matters when it comes down to it. Yeah.
And I'm having fun doing my work.
That's right. That's right.
No, I'm still enjoying my opportunities that I'm presented through AEW. And look, we got some great talents. And Tony Khan's booking some great matches because he's booking matches that he, as a fan, wants to see. And that's a great mindset for a booker.
His next question is, what in wrestling makes you smile? Is there anything in wrestling now that makes you smile? This is all about smiling. This last question.
I have a grin from ear to ear. Looks like Mr. Ed on payday.
See, that's what I love. Your honesty. It's right there. By the way, JR, keep smiling. That's what he ends up with.
I'll try. I'll do my best, dude.
There you go. JR, listen, next week it's Super Brawl 2. 30 years ago from Milwaukee, Lex Luger took on Sting for the WCW World title. And what would be Lex's last WCW match for 3 years? You get Jushin Liger versus Brian Pillman for the light heavyweight title. You got Rick Rude. Yeah,
that's what I remember. Liger and Pillman more than any match on that card. I might not have ended up past the quiz on Sting and Lex.
Yeah,
but I remembered Liger and Brian.
The talent on this card is ridiculous. You're going to get Rude versus Ricky Steamboat for the U.S. belt. You're going to get Arn and Bobby Eaton, okay, defending the tag titles. You're getting to get Steiners, Cactus versus Ron Simmons. I mean, you're sitting next to Jesse the Body. This is going to be an epic card and lots of great
think that was
talent.
a Cowboy Bill Watts booking. I think Watts booked that. I think Watts booked that card. The only thing I remember about that, other than Pillman and Liger, was I forgot to pack a tie. See, that's where you remember stuff like that on these shows.
There you go.
I forgot to pack a tie, and luckily there was a mall not nearby, and I went to that mall that morning of the show and bought me a new tie. But the little things like that, what you remember. Remember going to dinner with the Cowboy the night before and going over the card, going over what he wanted. The thing I used to always ask Bill, and this is Tony Khan, I used to ask this to Vince, how do you want it to sound going off the air? What points do you want me to make sure I nail as we leave the air? And because every booker should have a vision for the next chapter of the story that they're writing or booking, as they say in wrestling. So Cowboy and I would talk about that. What do you want to do there? And, you know, sometimes he would get aggravated, not just necessarily me, but that is at the restrictions, because the workers weren't as good as some of the workers Cowboy had in the Mid-South. Styles had changed. And, you know, I don't know, it's just, he was, but he was so smart. I learned so much from him. So, you know, I need to get one of those gigs. I think Conrad interviewed Cowboy, right?
Not yet. He's working on it.
Oh, he did? He hasn't?
And if he has, he hasn't told me or anybody else yet, but I know it's something he's working on.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
And do it now.
That's right.
Watts is still sharp as a tack. And he's not getting any younger. I might make that trip with Conrad.
I think that would be fantastic. The three of you in the room together, just talking wrestling. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I would have to get Silva to bring the tacos and anything else edible.
I see what you're doing there. Listen, that's the beauty, and that's where I'm headed with ad-free shows. Stuff like that. You will get content like that on ad-free shows. And JR, as this drops on the main feed this Thursday, the 17th, you're doing a Zoom event at 9:00 Eastern with all our ad-free show members. So yeah, Thursday night, 9:00 on the 17th. Be there.
Eastern, 9:00 Eastern, right?
Yeah, 9:00 Eastern. 9:00 Eastern. I don't know what I said earlier, but
bring your questions, show up. It don't cost you nothing.
That's right.
Don't be a tight ass and don't be a dumbass.
Now that can't be guaranteed because we have a lot of smart guys, but I can't guarantee them they'll all be.
Last time I did that, somebody scolded me for smoking.
Oh, I know who that was. Yeah.
So,
hey, last time I did one, we were having a Zoom with Serena Deeb, and it was great question, JR, talking about chain wrestling and this and that. And then this guy comes on at the end and says, hey, I have a question. Who would win in a pillow fight between you, Serena Deeb, and Paulie? And I'm like, is that a real question for Serena Deeb, who we just got her for an hour to talk to her about wrestling, and you're going to ask about a pillow fight? Yeah. Anyway, so you always have some of that, I guess.
Absolutely.
Keeps us on our toes, but
yeah.
Join us over there on adfreeshows.com. You never know what you're going to hear or see, but we do know you're going to see JR Thursday night, 9 Eastern. You don't want to miss it. JR, tell them about that BBQ, JR's BBQ.
JR'sBBQ.com is a place to go to look around for some good food. My mama's original barbecue sauce, the ever popular jalapeno honey mustard with no sugar, very healthy. Chipotle ketchup, I love. Man, when I've used the Chipotle ketchup as a little drizzle on some steaks in a skillet. It's really good. And of course, our all-purpose seasoning we sell it every day. And if you haven't tried it, you should. I gave some to my new housekeeper. What did she say? It was what she called it. It's funnier than shit. I don't know what it was, like I don't remember, some stupid. I said, no, it's the seasoning. Oh, so she ended up putting it on some chicken. I gave her some chicken because I was leaving town and I didn't want it to go bad. So I gave her some chicken thighs and I said, now load this up with that seasoning and cook it any way you want. Outside, stove top, oven, don't matter. Whatever you're comfortable doing.
Yeah.
And she came in she was like, it's like orgasmic to her. Unbelievable.
There you go.
Yeah. So it's good. So it's all, and we always have specials. We're fair priced. Stephen Link runs that site. We do a great job of customer service, which I put a big emphasis on. Since day one, the first day I ever uttered one word about this barbecue website, it's always been about customer service because customers come first and we're going to make you happy. So I say it a lot. It's true. Costs nothing to look. JRSBBQ.com and check that out and check out AEW Dynamite every Wednesday night. Live TV is so much fun. I'm having a blast doing these shows because of the roster that Tony Khan is putting together. It's pretty damn extraordinary.
We have a blast listening to you, man.
So I appreciate that, and I'm having as much fun calling these matches as I did. There's Attitude Era moments where I feel I'm totally engulfed in the show. I'm in another place and doing something I really truly love. And I had a big void after the Attitude Era, many years where I never got that feeling. It was gone, but I still put my time in. But now with the AEW and the talent we have, and there's so many young guys, and the fans don't know how much time I put in with these talents off camera. So when I see somebody go out there and have a real good match, and it may have the small sprinkling of sauce or seasoning on it from me, as far as psychology, I still have a hell of a time talking the bastards into not wrestling with necklaces. I'm not big on wrestling, having necklaces on in a match or earrings. So I'm too old. I get it. Yeah, I'm too old. I'll probably quit over it. And when I do, it'll be big headlines. It'll be bigger than what's going on in Conrad's cabin after hours.
Hey, speaking of after hours, man, again, more gold with JR. That was another show, After Hours with Jim Ross in the Jungle. Remember that in the jungle in Jacksonville?
No.
You, Eric, Tony, you were all around the table with Conrad, and you guys.
Oh, yeah,
that hour-long trip out in the safari.
Don't get me started on travel and transportation. Conrad knew he had me though, because he catered.
Yeah.
And
he kept feeding you drinks too.
Oh yeah.
The gimmick attorney.
Forcing me to drink.
Yeah, it was good stuff. Well, listen, JR, this has been an honor and a privilege to be with you again. Appreciate this. The Raw that Shawn Michaels lost his smile with good old JR. And guys, check out JR's BBQ.com. I'm sure there were people using it for their Super Bowl parties. I know we had that mustard out, and it was tremendous. Had a little beef and cheese and some of that jalapeno honey mustard. And, but check them out, support them. JR, thank you. Good luck on Dynamite. Love hearing you every week. Looking forward to hearing you on Revolution too, the pay-per-view coming up in Orlando. So that's going to be a lot of fun as well.
That's a nice deal for me because it's a car trip.
That's right.
I can hop in 4 wheels and zip right down to Orlando and get it on. So it should be fun. And it looks like the card's going to be awesome. So it'll be a great atmosphere. Orlando's seen a lot of good wrestling, but now they'll see the best of what AEW has to offer. It will be on pay-per-view. And what is the date? It's a Saturday, right?
It is. It is Saturday, and it is the first Saturday in March. So I believe it is, if my calendar will flip for me here. It is March. Actually, I think it's a Sunday this time. It's going to be March 6th, Sunday night.
I should know that.
Yep. They switch them around sometimes. Sometimes Saturday now and sometimes Sunday. So you just always got to check.
Yeah, it all depends on the availability the cable company has.
That's
Saturday,
right.
Sunday, it doesn't matter. But hopefully we'll get a good response to it because I think it's going to be a real good card.
All right, JR. Well, thank you so much. This has been a great episode. We'll talk to you again next week. JR and Connie will be out of the cabin. They'll be back together again right here next week on Grilling JR with the voice of wrestling, Mr. Jim Ross.
Paul, you did a great job today. I appreciate your efforts. And thank all you guys for watching. Check out the barbecue site. Watch a little AEW. Help a brother out, will you? I need it. Thanks.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.